Imagine discovering that one of America's most famous voices was built on silence, and that most of what you were taught about him was only half the story. This is what they never told you about Malcolm X. Before the speeches, before the headlines, before the legend, there was a boy named Malcolm Little. Curious, sharp, and confident. He was one of the best students in his class. When a teacher asked him what he wanted to be, he said, "A lawyer." The teacher laughed. "Be realistic, Malcolm. A colored boy can't be a lawyer." That moment didn't just end a dream. It planted a question that would shape the rest of his life. How can a country built on freedom decide who's allowed to dream? But here's what most people never hear. Malcolm's fight didn't start in adulthood. It started at home. His parents had already taught him what resistance looked like. His father, Earl Little, was a preacher and follower of Marcus Garvey, a movement that preached pride and self-reliance for Black people across the world. Because of that, their family was hunted, their home burned. His father was later found dead. And though officials called it an accident, many believed it was murder by white supremacists. His mother was institutionalized, his siblings separated. By the time Malcolm was 13, his world had already been dismantled by racism. Did you know? He was a child long before he became a leader. A child who lost everything before he even understood why. In his 20s, he drifted into hustling, gambling, drugs, theft. He ended up in prison. Most people stop there when they tell his story. The inmate who became a preacher, but they skipped the transformation. Inside that cell, Malcolm discovered books, hundreds of them. He copied the entire dictionary by hand. He debated with himself page after page until his mind became sharper than any weapon he'd ever held. He didn't just read history, he re-entered it. He began to question everything he'd been told about who he was. And maybe that's the real beginning of Malcolm X. Because knowledge, not anger, was his revolution. When he left prison, he joined the Nation of Islam, a religious and social movement that gave him discipline, community, and purpose. He dropped his last name, Little, calling it a slave name, and replaced it with X, a symbol of the identity stolen from his ancestors. Did you know X wasn't just rebellion? It was remembrance. Every time he said his name, he was naming the millions who couldn't. He became the voice the movement had been waiting for. Fierce, eloquent, unafraid to say what others whispered. While others asked for patience, he demanded truth. He said, "You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom." To some, he was a hero. To others, a threat. But what most didn't understand, he wasn't teaching hate. He was teaching reflection. He wanted people to see how deeply racism had shaped America and how power could begin with knowledge. That's what they never told you. He wasn't dividing the nation. He was holding up a mirror to it. Under his influence, the Nation of Islam grew from a small group to tens of thousands of members. He built new mosques, founded the newspaper Muhammad Speaks, and used radio and television to reach millions. He was doing what we call today media strategy before social media existed. But behind the public strength, Malcolm began to question what he saw inside the movement. He learned that his leader, Elijah Muhammad, was secretly breaking moral codes that the organization preached. Malcolm's faith in the structure began to crack, and so did their loyalty to him. That part rarely makes it into history books, but it explains everything that followed. In 1964, he broke away publicly. He created two new organizations, the Muslim Mosque, Incorporated, and the Organization of Afro-American Unity. That same year, he took a trip that would change everything, his pilgrimage to Mecca. There, surrounded by Muslims of every race and language, he saw something that challenged everything he once believed. He wrote, "I have eaten from the same plate, drunk from the same glass, and slept on the same rug with men whose eyes were the bluest of blue, whose hair was the blondest of blonde, and whose skin was the whitest of white. We are all brothers." Most people never hear that version of Malcolm X, the one who came home preaching unity instead of rage. That moment, not the speeches, was his true awakening. He began to see that racism was not born from skin color, but from systems that taught separation. He returned home changed, less militant, more universal, still unafraid, but now preaching something bigger than black nationalism. He started speaking of human rights, of unity, of seeing beyond race. He said, "I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for justice, no matter who is for or against. But change makes enemies." His new message, too independent, too global, put him in danger. His house was firebombed while his wife and daughter slept inside. Weeks later, on February 21st, 1965, he was assassinated while speaking in New York. He was 39. 3 men from the Nation of Islam were convicted, but decades later, 2 of them were exonerated. And in 2023, Malcolm X's family filed a lawsuit against the FBI, CIA, and NYPD, claiming evidence was hidden. Even in death, the truth about Malcolm X is still being uncovered. Did you know that? 60 years later, and his story is still being rewritten. When we look back, we often choose the version of Malcolm X that makes us comfortable. The angry one, the radical, and the rebel. But what they never told you is that he was evolving, that his life was a journey from anger to awareness, from reaction to reflection. He was a man searching for truth in a world that kept shifting the definition. And that's what makes him timeless. His questions are still ours. How do you build equality in a system built on inequality? How do you find unity in a world addicted to division? How do you protect truth when lies are profitable? Today, his image is on murals, t-shirts, and classroom walls, but his voice still divides people who've never really listened. He's not a symbol of separation. He's proof that transformation is possible, that knowledge can turn a prisoner into a philosopher, that faith can evolve, that a man can outgrow his anger without losing his fire. He once said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." And maybe that's the lesson he left for us, that real power isn't in revenge, but in awareness, in knowing who you are, where you come from, and what you stand for. So when you hear the name Malcolm X, don't just remember the speeches or the photographs. Remember the student who was told to dream smaller. Remember the prisoner who rebuilt himself with words. Remember the father who came home from Mecca believing humanity could change. Because what they never told you about Malcolm X is that his story was never just about race. It was about the fight for truth, the one we're all still learning to tell.